Hi, sunshines. How are you guys? So, my name is Aggie, and I actually am recording this video, and I don't know if I'll be posting it, which is weird, but I sincerely hope I will be posting it for so many reasons. So, this video, in this video, I'm going to be talking about my experiences battling depression and anxiety. So, I've been battling depression and anxiety for the past 5 to 6 years, and that is something I've never accepted or admitted in a public forum like this before. So that is scary because every culture has sort of stigmatized mental health a little bit. And I feel like that stigma is especially prevalent in our Indian community. So being a girl in the Indian community, it has always scared me to go up to somebody and be like, yeah, I have depression and anxiety, because now every action I make will be judged through the lens of somebody who just has depression and anxiety. But over the past 2 to 3 months, I have been meeting a lot of people in my life that have been going through these mental health issues themselves. And one thing that all of us have in common is that we all feel like we're alone in our battles, when in reality we're not. And I feel like this conversation really needs to take place because I am not exactly somebody who you would imagine to have depression and anxiety, because I don't fit the molds of an introverted, quiet, shy kid. I have always been outgoing. I've always been outspoken. So it always surprises people when they hear that I have suffered from mental health issues myself, right? So I've noticed over the past 5 to 6 years what had happened is, initially I would get very anxious about a lot of things in my life. And after all of these anxiousness and this attack of anxiety would come in, I would just shut down, more or less. My response to dealing with all these anxious thoughts in my head would be to basically go numb. And at which point I would just stay in bed for days and days. And maybe I might take a shower like every 2 to 3 days, but even a shower was not guaranteed. I would not eat full meals. What I would have is a couple of snacks as my meals for the day. And even while I was going through this, there would be days when I would like wake up and be like, get very motivated and get out of bed and cook a large meal. And then one little thing might go wrong in the day, and all of a sudden I would retreat back into my bed and stay there. And at this point I started alienating my friends. I stopped talking to a lot of my friends, stopped going to a lot of events, whereas before I was like always at all these events and parties and was very active. And now I stopped going through these events, just retreated back into myself a lot. And there were friends of mine that were going through trouble themselves at this point. They were going through personal issues or whatever. So I didn't feel like I wanted to tell them and add to their misery either. And then there were friends of mine that were going through really happy times. So for those friends of mine, I didn't want to tell them and give them more things to worry about, or give them, or at least like rain on their parade or anything, right? I wanted them to enjoy themselves. So from both of those perspectives, I would just kind of like distance myself from all of this. And I would have, my friends would message me on a daily basis. At first they would get really pissed off, or at first they would get really concerned, and then they would get really pissed off that I wasn't responding to their concerns, and then they would just get very sad and hurt that I wasn't responding to them at all whatsoever, and that I was ignoring them. And even at that point, as I knew I was hurting the people around me, I felt too numb and too powerless to do anything to change that. So eventually what happened is, around 8 months ago, I moved to India. Around 6 months ago, I came into Bangalore. And at that point, I reached out to a therapist. While I had seen many, many other therapists and even had been to a couple of psychiatrists, I just never found a therapist that I connected with. So roughly 6 months ago, I met a therapist that I actually really connected with. I walked out of my first session with her feeling like the weight of the world had been lifted from my shoulders. And And I guess it was just right time, it was a coincidence, whatever it was that led me to that moment. I am forever thankful for that, because after meeting her, I've slowly started learning coping mechanisms. And I'm not saying that, it has all been an uphill journey. There are days when I still lose control, when I still stay in bed, when I still don't shower. There are days when I get depressed. There are days when I just burst out into tears for no reason. It's not always a pleasant journey. It's an up and down, slow progression, right? And I always imagined myself making a video like this, much later in my life, maybe a couple of years from now, when I felt like I had beaten my depression and anxiety and am now a normal, healthy human being. But over the past few months or so, I've been meeting a lot of people who have some form of depression and anxiety, or whatever themselves, and I realize all of these things is because none of us are talking to each other, right? None of us are creating a dialogue where we talk about our own experiences. And I feel like maybe talking about my journey, beating depression and anxiety, would better serve the Indian community a little bit than me just saying, oh yeah, 5 years ago I used to suffer from depression and anxiety, and now I am a model citizen with a normal range of human emotions, right? And I don't want to just create that. I want this to be a conversation. I want to create a dialogue where we all talk about the realities of dealing with mental health issues. So yeah, that's what I was hoping with this video. Hopefully, this starts a conversation, and that's that, right? All right, bye guys, thank you.